Hello and welcome to Bomb Squad, In Dreams Club's PlayStation podcast. My name's Andrew Mungerton, and as always, I am welcomed by my wonderful co-host, Christopher Sloan.
Oi, oi!
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
Excellent.
We're going to continue our quest.
Oh, the tradition. Oh, yes. My RPG Maker character.
So you might remember last time you created a dwarf, a female dwarf called Lily.
Lily, my good girl.
Today, we're going to focus on Lily's background and her class.
Okay,
so
fun.
Her background, you have a choice to make here.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, Lily is either going to be quite lowborn, so quite you might say quite a commoner.
Yes, yeah.
Or
Gotcha.
she's going to be part of like dwarven nobility. Like, so you need to pick like a commoner, or is she part of the nobility? What do you think?
Oh, just out of those two?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Lily. I think Lily's a commoner.
Commoner?
Yeah.
Excellent.
She's lived a tough life and seen some shit.
She's seen some shit.
She
Well, I
has.
think I know the answers. But so basically now we're going to choose your class.
Okay.
And you have two choices here.
Two?
Only two. And then within that you get another
A subclass type.
as well. So
Okay.
you can pick warrior or rogue.
Warrior or rogue? I think I've got to go warrior.
Really?
She a chunky girl.
Okay, I thought you were going to go rogue. With,
No. I do normally go rogue recently.
having been like a commoner.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
She no, but she's like all I can do in life is fight.
Okay.
That's all I know.
So basically now you have a choice of 4 potential subclasses here, okay? That are all like warrior based. So you've got a berserker. Okay, so the idea, just giving into rage and like going into battle. Kind of
Yeah.
You've got champions.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like a confident leader in battle. That you can inspire those that fight with you potentially.
Yeah.
A reaver. Okay, now reavers kind of almost lean into like demonic.
Oh,
Things that you can kind of actually like terrify enemies. By
Yeah.
that.
I don't think she's that.
So basically, like the closer they are to their own death, the more damage they take, like the more powerful they might become.
Sure.
The last one is a Templar. Okay, now Templars specifically have a thing against. They're very good against magic users.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where their main token. So you basically Templar, Reaver, Champion, or Berserker.
Can you just read me champion one more time? Kind of the idea behind it.
So like the idea of veteran warrior, confident leader in battle, can inspire allies, can also intimidate people with your...
I think that's Lily. And the
Lily's
reason,
a champion.
Yeah, she was downtrodden in her life, but she's taken that pain that she's felt and she channels it as a leader and kind of can inspire the people around her to that basically anyone can do something.
Cool.
She's an inspiration to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. That's all we got
Fantastic.
for this time. So
Good. I'm looking forward to the
Lily,
next.
we decided she's a female dwarf. She's common, lowborn,
Yeah.
but a warrior, a champion warrior.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Perfect.
We'll see how Lily gets on next time.
Okay. Right. Well, now we have the first of many things moving forward. So season 2, we've decided we're kind of going to go on this kind of 1 week we'll do some news and talk about some hot topics, and then the other week we're just going to have a bit of a rambling conversation about a certain thing,
Hot topics.
a hot topic, or anything really. So this week we are going to discuss bosses in gaming.
Yeah.
So the boss kind of comes at the end of a chapter or the end of a game or anything like that. I think they're probably nowadays becoming a little bit more archaic as an idea.
Yeah, but you
game.
don't see
No.
boss battles much anymore.
No,
because I think so much can there's a lot of build up to them, and so much can be let down by it if it's not too great. Or
as an example, some boss battles that aren't great. You've got Atlas at the end of BioShock 1. An almost perfect game, ruined, destroyed.
And then you see when they made the next, well, not the next one, but Infinite, there was no boss battle. It was just you're on a ship and there's a few waves of enemies, isn't there? There's no actual one boss, so they kind of like got a bit.
Well, it even had Ken Levine, I think, a year or two on Twitter go apologising, saying, by the way, guys, sorry, that boss battle was shocking at the end of that game. I'm really sorry we did that. So, yeah, sometimes it can work negatively against a game. However, when done right, they can be pretty epic. And that's what we want to go into here. Now, I will say, when you gave me this idea, I was kind of like, I love this. I have lent slightly on some of my favourite boss battles. So sometimes they might be kind of simple and not like mechanically that interesting, but there's some of my best memories from these. So I don't know if that lines up with how you went through this as well.
Yeah, I've done that pretty much. I've gone with a similar idea.
Okay.
Just my favourites.
Okay, well, so we've got our kind of top 5.
Yeah.
I've put mine in order. Have you?
I have got an order as well.
Okay, good. I wrote down a list of bosses that kind of stuck out to my head. So there's a couple of honourable mentions that maybe we should go through first.
Yeah, let's go through. I've got a few honourable mentions as well. So
cool. Okay, well, I'll start with one of mine. So I actually did all of mine in order. My first honourable mention is Trance Kuja, which is not the last, but basically the main boss of Final Fantasy IX. Kuja is your kind of your enemy throughout most of the game, and Trance Kuja is his final form. And it's again one of these kind of epic, bringing together the music for it is absolutely incredible. Visuals are really cool as well. He looks really, really awesome as a trance version, which is their kind of limit break type things in the game. So that for me was just a fun end to the game. There is an additional boss that happens straight after, which just kind of comes out of nowhere, but this was the real.
There always is in Final Fantasy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just going on that, one of mine is Sephiroth from the end of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah. Wait, do you fight Sephiroth?
What? Yeah, so he's obviously does some heinous stuff all the way through the game, and he's your main villain, or is he?
Is he? Is it yourself?
Probably.
Whoa.
So yeah, and it's a cool fight, and the music's obviously incredible for the whole fight, especially when it's like Cloud and Sephiroth together. That's a really cool moment. So yeah, that's one of my honourable mentions.
Good stuff. One of mine here is this was from very recently, actually, from Control. Ooh. So Control has some really interesting bosses, and the one that stuck out to me, I don't know if you remember, Chris. So something that didn't make my list was any bosses from Shadow of the Colossus, which I'm sure would make some people's list. But there was
one in the Sand Sea.
Yeah, well, there was an infamous moment when this game, PS2 game, Shadow of the Colossus, got remastered for PS3, and I'd never played it. So
this is like in 2012.
Yeah, this is a long time ago. So I was like, I better play this, and I was living with Chris, and started playing, and I just couldn't quite get on with the controls. And there's one which is kind of like a giant flying snake, a flat flying snake that kind of goes along, and I think it
dives under the sand, isn't it?
And you kind of have to grab onto it, hold on, and then work your way up it. And for some reason, this boss gave me a lot of issues. And up until that point, I'm not someone who gets too angry at games, but something snapped inside me one time when I fell off. And I got so angry that I got the DualShock 3. I put it up to my mouth and I bit the top of the controller. And I had these 2 little fang marks kind of on the controller. And then I threw it on the floor and said, "Fuck this, I'm out of here." I did come back and then finish the game. But
it's one of my favourite moments. Gaming.
I don't know where I was going with that. I do know where I was going with that. So in a similar way that I actually got so fucking annoyed at this boss. I died so many times trying to do... It's a boss called Anchor in Control, okay? It's kind of... Most of the bosses are kind of optional side stuff. Generally speaking, it's a big old hole in the middle of the room with 4 platforms, north, south, west, east.
Okay.
And you have to essentially remain floating the whole time. You've got to kind of balance that between this giant thing in the middle, which is going round clockwise, okay? And what it does is it shoots out hundreds of clocks.
Okay.
It fires out, and if you get caught in it, it's basically a one-hit kill. So it's going round in a 90-degree angle each time as it does this. So you've got to keep ahead of it or keep behind of it, because you can only shoot it in the mouth as well. So all around it, that doesn't do any damage. At the same time, there's baddies coming in, flying in on the ground, shooting stuff. It gets mental. But it was very memorable at the same time. And pretty fucking cool.
Nice.
So that's that.
Oh, I picked. Do you know what I picked? And I don't really stand by this pick at all, but I've gone with Rafe as the ending boss of Uncharted 4, where you're in a pirate ship.
Okay.
And the pirate ship's on fire, and there's all treasure around you, and then you just have a sword fight with him.
Yeah.
And it's a bit weird.
It is a bit weird. It's a bit left field, that one.
It's so weird from the rest of the game, but it's quite stressful. And I like how like he's got like perfectly like slicked hair, and then it starts to like come out and like sort of starts. And I was like, I like this.
Burning.
Yeah, it's just silly.
What happens with 3?
3, you're in the place, aren't you?
In the city.
The sand, in the city.
I know there's the kind of...
There's creepy things come that are in your imagination.
Is there a boss guy that you fight?
Yes, it's the guy, not the old woman, but her mate.
Yes, you're right.
I think it's just like a quick time.
Yeah. Interesting boss battles at the end of those games, Uncharted.
I liked 4 though. 4 was
fun. 4 was the best of the...
4 was like...
The bunch.
It was literally like the end of an Indiana Jones film.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a good...
You're on a pirate ship as well, aren't you?
Yeah, you're on a pirate ship and there's treasure all around you and some fire. And it's like a total metaphor for who Nathan Drake is. Because he's like there, he's almost willing to die within all this treasure.
Yeah, I love it.
It's good.
Excellent. The other one that I had here was Omega Mark 12, which was an optional super boss in Final Fantasy 12.
Nice.
Now, the 2 main ones are Ziamat, I think, is that the name?
Tiamat,
that's it. Tiamat, and then Omega Mark 12. Now, these 2 bosses, you need to kill both of them, and you get the Omega badge and something from Tiamat, and you put those 2 together.
Was it Tiamat, or was it like, I don't know, maybe.
I think it's Tiamat.
Yeah.
Anyway, super boss at the end. You put them together, and then you can get the Worm Hero Sword, which is basically like by far the best sword in the game, but by that point there's nothing to kill anymore. But this boss, so we're going to call it Tiamat. I think it is that. That is a weird boss in that it's got like an outrageous amount of health, and it takes just so long to do. This one, however, is harder to kill, has much less health, but it's also in that crystal where there's no map.
Yeah.
It takes an age to try and find it. When you do get to it, it's really aggressive. And I really remember like playing this, and I was fighting it for ages with you, and I think I was like just staying alive, like consistently staying alive, but never really doing anything to it. And then I think I had to go. So I handed you the controller and I was like, I don't know, we just need maybe a different strategy because we're staying alive, but we're not doing anything. And you just like went for it. You just went attack. Don't care about healing. Attack. And it just suddenly took it down and you killed it. And it was like, that was a great memory for bosses. Yeah.
I've got one more.
Yeah.
Honourable mention, and it is Deathstroke. From Arkham Origins.
Oh, yes.
There's a good fight. It's just basically kind of like he's got a big sword, and you just have to kind of watch him. And it's very much the camera comes quite close in.
Yeah,
and you've got to watch him really carefully and parry his attacks, and like eventually knock like his helmet comes off. And it's a really good fight. That
I think I did actually in preparation for this. I looked at a few top kind of boss battles in gaming, and that came up a couple of times.
Yeah, it was just good. It's quite interesting. It's not even the Rocksteady. It's not even the Rocksteady one. It's the WB Studios one. So yeah,
fantastic. Right, okay. Top five bosses of all time. Should I go first?
You go first. I think what we'll do is when we get a bit through, we'll maybe do our like 5s and 4s. Then we'll pause.
Have a little break. Play a little game. Right, my number 5 is Beauvoir from Nier Automata or Automata.
However you say it.
Yeah, which Beauvoir, aka Simone. Okay, now this is the one of the first bosses you fight, and it's in the amusement park. And that has some of my favourite music in a game ever in that location. I love it. You kind of get dropped into this boss battle, and the whole storyline behind it is that she's a robot that just wants to look really beautiful. So she kind of like puts all this stuff all over her, but then at the same time she's like screaming out for you to kill her. So there's this weird kind of like jarring, she wants to die but she's trying to kill you as well happening. And also it really messes around with your camera. So you're looking at her normally, and then all of a sudden, subtly, the camera is suddenly on over above you, and you can't look at her. Yeah. You can only see top down. All sorts of crazy stuff happening, but it was just very memorable with amazing music, and it was the first time you fight a proper boss in that game as well. So it was such a dramatic moment there. Yeah,
I thought it's quite easy because don't you just hack her and then?
Well, you hack her. You hack her for a while, and then
isn't that the second playthrough you do that?
Oh, sorry, you were I was about hacking and slashing. I was
I mean
secondly you just hack her. Yeah, that's super easy. First playthrough though, you fight, and then after a certain amount, her skirt comes up, and there's like a robot dog that comes out and tries to bite you.
Good old Japan.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And there's loads of dead robots on crosses all over the place that start. You have to shoot them as well because they start kind of blowing up if you get close. It's a wild boss battle, and a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay, that's my number 5.
Okay.
Side thing. Sorry. In typical Nia fashion, she is. Where's the trivia thing I've got here? So I kind of Googled Beauvoir, and then it came up with Simone de Beauvoir, and I was like, who the hell is that? I was like, oh, it's a French philosopher that was into existential thinking. And I was like, right, that makes sense. And then her machine name, which is Simone, is also the name of an opera singer, and that's why she's also an opera singer as well. So classic Nia stuff there.
Nice. Right, so my number 5. It's a bit of an odd one. And I want to put you into the situation that it might occur in order to make you really feel this. So basically, you have to imagine you are a character, you're in an open... Wait.
Let me close my eyes.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Right, you're in an open world game, and you are sort of running around, you are killing things, you are doing these quests, you're climbing up buildings and stuff. And then suddenly, you'll enter this area, and there'll be... The camera will shift, and it'll focus on something that's just found you, and you'll hear, "Oi, man filth." Whoa. Right?
Okay.
So my number 5 is any random orc boss that you have a huge kind of feud with throughout Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor.
With the Nemesis system.
The Nemesis system. Yeah. So I was thinking, and I was like, some of the best stuff I had was... Obviously in that game there are proper bosses as well that you go through and you fight, but it's the ones that you kind of make yourself, where you will have this hunt to kill this really low-level orc, and what will happen is you'll go up to him and you can scan them. I can't remember exactly how you have to gather information. You scan them, and you find out that this one is really susceptible to just jumping from a height and assassinating them, and that's it, he's dead. Yeah, and you can literally kill them in one go. So you do that. Then later on in the game, they come back.
Yes.
He'll come back, and he will know that the last time you killed him, you jumped from above. So he now is really good at defending himself against stuff from above.
It's so good.
And you're like, damn. And then each time he sees you, he will have gone up a rank, and he'll be a little bit stronger, and he'll know how you killed him last time. So you have to find a bit more information, scan him again, and you go, oh, okay, right. He's really scared of these specific little flies.
Yeah.
So what you do is you get him near where these flies thing are. You attract them. Yeah. They come over, and he starts running away scared, and then you can easily just assassinate him.
Yeah. And
he dies. And then a couple of hours later, he'll come back, and you can't kill him that way. So it forces you to
keep on learning,
to keep going, and to keep like changing how you kill them.
Yeah.
Until eventually they're just these ridiculous things that are just plaguing you wherever you go in the game. And the other thing,
they can be like multiple of them going at the same time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the other thing as well is that if at some point he's killed you, he will never let you forget it, because he'll like come up and be like, "Oh, you want some more after I killed you last time?" like that, and it's so good. They remember. So yeah, it's not really like a boss battle in the traditional sense, but it's that sort of thing, because you make it your own. Like, so yeah, that's my number 5. Really, really good. Shame Shadow of War just kind of shit the bed. But.
Yeah. It's I'd love to see that system being expanded upon in more and more games. Or just that thought process behind enemies being... as long as you're not going for some sort of super realistic style thing, if you are going for an RPG-ish type thing, that kind of system in place is such a great idea.
I want something like that when... I don't know what kind of game. It may be like a... game where you're kind of putting people in prison or something, and then they like break out and they'll remember how you caught them. I don't know, maybe like Watch Dogs, a game like that or something had that sort of system would work really well. Yeah. But I think it's more just the over the top nature of the orcs. And they're like really sort of East End London accents. Yeah.
Some of them are quite flamboyant as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Very good. It was a really good system.
Am I right in thinking, is there one of those where he like becomes meeker and meeker as you kill, like, or something like that, isn't it?
So I think that there was basically a way, instead of killing them, you can like when you get them down low, instead of killing them, you can kind of take control of them.
Yeah.
And
is the guy, the more and more you do it, the more and less he can talk, and he basically stops being able to even speak English because you've like
he just
destroyed
grunts at you. Like, I think it's not like embarrassed, there's like another word for it, but there's something like that, and you do that to them. It's quite funny, that.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, on to number 4. Right, my number 4 is one of my earliest memories of a boss battle, which is Psycho Mantis from MGS1, from Metal Gear Solid 1. This was one of those seminal moments in gaming where I'm kind of playing something and you're like, no way can this be a thing. And actually I got that a lot with Nier, where I was like constantly thinking, no way, did they just do this? That keeps on left turning when you think it's going to go right and stuff. But so Psycho Mantis, you're kind of going along, you've seen him throughout the game, for most of the game, kind of floating around here and there, and then when you fight him, he just, the creativity of like reading your save files on your memory card. So it would say, oh, I can see that you've been playing blah blah blah, because you've got a save file on there. He says, oh, look, put down your controller. Like, he's so breaking the kind of fourth wall down. He's like, can you put your controller down there? And if you had a dual shot, he'd start, I can make your controller move, and he'd start making it vibrate, and it would start moving. And if you didn't, he'd be like, what? You don't have a dual shock? And he's like questioning about why you don't have the controller. And he would do loads of kind of crazy things, like as you're fighting, it's just in a room, you're just kind of shooting him and stuff, and he's floating around, going invisible and stuff. And every now and then he would just like cut the screen to green, so you can't even see, and then the actual screen of what's happening would go to the top right hand corner as a tiny thing, and it would just be like a blank TV screen, and you're like, what on earth? It was just so imaginative with how it was messing about with what you think can be in a game, and
the creativity of some of them is the best.
So good, and it was great because it was perfectly done in the theming of his character as well. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to throw some crazy ideas. It was, this is supposedly this kind of person who can control people, and now he's controlling the game almost. It was so, really, really amazing little moment in the history of gaming, for sure.
Okay, so my number 4.
Yeah.
I picked quite an old game here. So basically, when you start Final Fantasy IV, you are a character called Cecil, who is a Dark Knight.
Love a Dark Knight.
Who's working for like the Empire, like that sort of thing, and he's got huge black armor and a dark sword, and basically he's got his special ability is called Darkness, and it shoots out this dark power that injures you, but also does damage to every other enemy. And it's awesome because basically you can like clear the boards out for the first 4 or 5 hours of the game. There then comes a point though when you realise that you're actually kind of on the wrong side, and the Empire's planning bad things, and everything's going wrong, and you end up going to this town that has been kind of like besieged and obliterated by this Empire that you used to work for, and people in the town recognise you.
Nice.
And anyone you try to talk to, they're like, they don't want anything to do with you. There's one person who will actually use the spell pig on you. Okay. And you have to then get one of your mages to cast pig to get rid of it and stuff. Right. Because, and you basically then go on this short quest to mount ordeals, and you have to basically get to top it. There's a couple of boss battles and all that, usual sort of stuff. But then you basically shed the fact that you're a Dark Knight, and you become a paladin. Nice. But in order to do that, you become this paladin, and you go into this room with this kind of big mirror, and you fight a Dark Knight. Nice. So are you a paladin at this point? Yeah, so you're a paladin at this point. And the battle starts, and it goes into the sort of, it's got ATB gauges by this point, Final Fantasy, and but it's obviously still turn-based. And you're there and you're fighting yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of this Dark Knight versus this Paladin. And obviously the Dark Knight is using the darkness power against you, and you're like fighting. You've got this new sort of like light good sword instead of having like a darkness blade and all that, a dark blade. And every now and then through it, there's a bit that says like it comes up the top saying like Cecil, like that, and it's like your name, and then it just goes eventually after sort of like 5, 6, 7 minutes of this where you're not getting anywhere. Like he's doing and because you're a paladin, you now have the spell cure.
Okay.
So he's getting you quite low, and you're having to just like keep just curing yourself and then attacking when you can. And then it comes up about 10 minutes in saying a true paladin stays his blade. And then you realise the whole fight you need to just defend.
Yeah.
And you need to not do it. And eventually the Dark Knight, because he's using that darkness power that consumes his HP,
ends up
dies
killing him.
and falls. And then you're kind of like, you've shed that side of him and he becomes the paladin. And it's it's such a cool moment in the game, that and such a good way of it being like, oh, like that's how he like become like sheds the evil deeds that he's done in the past. So really cool, and it's cool because it's not like this huge scale thing of it's just this turn-based kind of and you don't even like, you just need to switch yourself to the back row and defend.
I love that
the whole thing.
That's I love that kind of thing when you're so ingrained to play games in certain ways that sometimes when it just switches up even just a little bit, it can be so rewarding. What you were just saying there about that really made me remind myself actually of now full spoiler. Well, obviously all of this is spoilers because we're talking about bosses. It reminded me then also of the end of Hellblade, which is where you're fighting away all these kind of guys, and then at the very end, you actually just need to stop and be killed. Like you have to give up. You have to do like, you can't keep on fighting. You've got to give up basically with it. I love that. I love that idea. Yeah.
So really cool. That's really stuck out, especially in that game as well.
No, absolutely.
Really cool moment.
Excellent. Right. Okay, well that's our top 5 and 4 done, isn't it?
Yeah, 5 and 4.
Okay, we've just got the top 3. So let's pause there for a second.
Cool.
Enough about bosses. Now let's shift into a little game. So this time I'm going to be testing you on some knowledge. Okay. Now this is all about a game series which knows bosses very well. And you've just been talking about it. This is Final Fantasy length times. Okay.
Right.
According to how long to beat, we're going to look at how long are most of the Final Fantasy games. I haven't included every single one, but I have included a lot.
Well, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with Final Fantasy 1. Okay. I need you to first of all give a guess at the time according to how long to beat. If you get it right, you'll get a point, and if you get it wrong, I'll tell you what the time is. Moving forward, then you're going to tell me whether the next game in the series is going to be longer or shorter.
Okay.
Bonus point for getting the time.
All right. Okay. So Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
Played it recently.
I know. I'm going to say 14 hours.
Okay. Well, it was 17 and a half. That's going to be the hardest moment of this entire game. So there's no point there. That's a shame. So Final Fantasy 2, is it longer or shorter?
I'm fairly confident that 2 is a bit longer.
You're correct there.
Good.
A stab at the time?
I'm going to say 21.
25 and a half. Okay. Final Fantasy 3, longer or shorter? It's from 25 and a half hours. Are we going up or down?
I'm going to say up slightly.
You're saying longer?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. I don't think it's much. What did you say? Was it 25 and a half?
25 and a half.
I'll say like 27.
29 and a half.
Ooh.
Okay, so a couple of hours extra. Okay. Moving swiftly on to Final Fantasy 4. Is that now longer or shorter?
I'm going to say shorter.
That is correct.
Nice. How long? 24?
Oof!
And a half?
23 and a half. Man, that was a good guess though.
Yeah.
That is excellent work. Right, so now transitioning then from Final Fantasy 4 to 5.
Okay, I'm going to start struggling now.
Okay, so we're at 23 and a half hours. Is Final Fantasy 5 a longer or shorter game?
I think it's longer.
You think it's longer?
I think they're going to get pretty long
Okay, well,
is that right?
You're right.
Good. I'm going to guess like 30 hours.
You're always pretty close.
Okay.
It's 33.
Oh, 33.
33.
No, 6.
6. Longer or shorter than 33 hours? Wow, what an amount of time to put in a game, eh?
I think this one is I'm going to maybe a bit shorter.
That's incorrect.
Oh, okay. Longer than that. Oh.
Can you redeem yourself?
Oh,
so now you know it's longer.
36.
Oh! 35 and a half. Oh my god. Close.
These cutscenes, man.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so 35 and a half. Moving into Final Fantasy 7.
I'm pretty sure it's longer.
Is that your final guess?
Yeah.
You'd be right in saying that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like 40, isn't it? Like, I'll go 40.
Okay, it's 38 and a half.
Okay.
But close. Okay. So you're at 38 and a half. You're moving swiftly into Final Fantasy 8.
Right. So I know this one's longer. And I've got a feeling this one's like obscene. I think it's like, does this one breach 50? No.
It doesn't. No.
Oh, okay. For some reason I thought 8 was like ridiculously long.
We're on 42 and a half hours.
Okay.
Is 8.
It's 8.
Yeah.
42 and a half.
42 and a half. So now, moving on to my favourite, number 9. Higher or lower?
It's in the 40s.
Is it more than 42 and a half? Or is it less?
I'm going to say... I'm going to say... shorter.
And you'd be correct in saying that. Very good.
What is
very
it?
Good. I don't know. You need to tell me.
Yes. I'm going to say 39.
Oh, 40 on the dot.
Unbelievable.
This is a hard game, but you're doing well.
Game.
You're doing well. You've only got, other than the first, you've only got one wrong.
Yeah.
So we're at 40 hours. We're moving into the PS2 with Final Fantasy X. Are we going shorter or longer than 40?
I'm pretty sure it's longer.
And you would be right in saying that. How long?
48 hours.
Well, shit the bed. That's
that
on
right?
the money.
Is it?
48 hours. Ding, 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 ding. Excellent. Now we're just swerving off onto the side and having a bit of a 10-2.
Bullshit.
10-2.
Much shorter, I think.
You'd be right in saying that.
What was that? 48.
That was 48. Yeah.
31.
Not bad. 35.
Okay.
35. So now we are moving on to Final Fantasy 12.
So longer or shorter
Longer
than 35?
or shorter, yeah.
Definitely longer. It's probably almost double, isn't it?
Longer. I'm just going to...
Are you going to double check?
I'm just going to double check this one because I also have a feeling...
I feel like it's 60-something hours, this game. This is a big-ass game.
It is. I went on to How Long to Beat, but what might have happened is... I see my issue. I've gone on the Zodiac Age by mistake.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, I've got the score now.
I'm going to say 62 hours.
You're not far off wrong there.
Okay.
It's 60 and a half. Very close again.
Okay.
60 and a half hours. Right, so now we're moving into
the best one.
Final Fantasy 13. Heroine of Lightning. She strikes. She hasn't returned yet.
It must be shorter.
You'd be right in saying that.
But is it short enough?
Is it short
I'm saying
enough?
it's in the 40s.
Okay. Now, that means you've got 10 different numbers you could pick from.
I'm going to say 45.
That's very diplomatic of you, right in the middle. It's 49. So quite long. Quite long. The games basically ramp up in length until very recently they just tailed off. So then now we're going into Final Fantasy 13 too.
Oh god.
So
shorter?
You would be right in saying shorter, yeah.
I don't know, 35.
28.
Oh
yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
Love that.
Now we're finalising the trilogy. So we're with Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. It's not even called 13.
Now I know how this game works. So I know that technically you could finish this game pretty quick.
Because you're on a timer, aren't you?
Yeah, you're on a timer. I don't know.
However, is it longer or shorter than 28 hours? Tricky.
I wanted to say like 25 hours, which is obviously shorter. But I'm going to say longer.
You would be right in saying longer.
Yeah,
so.
33 and a half.
Ooh, 34. My goodness, that was close.
That game.
That was close. And the last one, we've skipped out 12 and 14 because they're MMOs, so it's hard
11 and 14.
11 and 14, sorry, yeah. So last one then, Final Fantasy 15.
Damn.
According to How Long to Beat for the main story. Your previous game was Lightning Returns, which was 34 hours. Are we going longer or shorter?
I don't know. I feel like it's fairly similar. Longer.
It's shorter.
No.
Shorter. And how many hours do you reckon?
What was it, 34 and a half, the last one?
34.
It must be 30 hours, surely. 31 and a half hours.
28.
Damn.
Getting back to the old school roots,
Nice.
you know?
Love that. In more ways than one.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14. You got 14 out of a possible 31.
Now, so are you not saying they were bonus points?
Well, you didn't say there were bonus points on my last game last week, so...
I think I did.
But they were counted in the score, weren't they?
Yeah, but what game did we do last time?
The one about... good question. Boss or Dross.
Yeah, but Boss or Dross is like...
All right then. So
I feel like I did well.
You did do very well.
I feel like I did pretty well.
You did. That was a bloody hard game. All right, so you actually got 14 out of 15. 16. 14 out of 16.
There we go. I'm more happy with that.
That's a pretty good return.
Nice. I win.
It's a good job.
I win. Cool. Right. Back to it.
Back to the bosses.
Is it my go or is it your go?
I think it's mine.
Yeah, you went first.
So. Or unless we can switch it up if you want. Yeah, you go.
Let's switch it up. Okay.
Switch up.
I'm going to talk about my number 3.
Yeah.
So my number 3 boss
is an interest.
Just wondering if I want to just change the order in the last minute.
Ooh.
I don't think I will though. Number 3. Do I want to give you the... Yeah, okay, I'll do it this way. Right.
Okay.
You are playing a person. Okay?
Wait.
In a game.
In a game. Okay, I see what you mean. Real life, I was like, whew.
Now, in the game, you are trying to obviously beat bad guys, and there's obviously lots of stuff going on. Okay?
Sounds about right.
And then something happens.
Oh, no.
And the whole way the game is perceived is flipped on its head.
Spec Ops: The Line?
No.
Oh.
I'm talking about Scarecrow from Arkham Asylum.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
There are these little telltale signs that say you're about to go. Because there's a couple of times that you face Scarecrow, and there's this sort of gas hissing. So you realise that his fear toxin is being pumped into the room, and you know something's going to happen. And there's a part where you're walking through, and you're forced to like relive when Bruce Wayne's parents were killed.
Nice.
Then the game changes to being, instead of being sort of like a third-person action game, it almost turns into like a stealth platformer where you've got to get around without being seen, because if Scarecrow sees you, you die.
Yeah.
You're fighting his weird it's weird skeleton warriors that come up and you got to fight them. And then you obviously win it and you basically have to get to the bat signal and push it so that the light...
Is this where he's like a giant?
He's like a giant.
Yeah, with needle fingers. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. And these bits were done so well in these games that Arkham Knight, when that one came out, he was kind of made the big boss.
Cool.
In fact, at the end of it's kind of hinted at the very end of Arkham Asylum, the after credits moment. There's Titan formula, which is what like Joker injects himself with to make himself all stupid and big at the end.
Yeah.
there's a bit of that that's floating away from Arkham Asylum, and just this one hand comes on it from out of the water, and it's like the Scarecrow's hand.
Nice.
With the needles.
Nice. I do remember seeing this boss battle and thinking, damn, that's a pretty cool boss battle.
With the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
really cool. The fact that it just changes the game up totally and makes you have to kind of use different skills. Yeah, really cool. Some of the most memorable moments from that whole game, especially because the final boss of Arkham Asylum is kind of a bit.
I feel like games in general do bosses well, but final bosses, it's hard because you're hyping up to the end of a game, and then if it's not as good as other things you've done, that's where it can be a bit disappointing. Yeah, excellent stuff. Okay, my number 3 is. All right, let me paint you a picture.
Okay.
So, imagine you are in a cell. Okay, you've been kept there for a day or two. You're getting hungry, you're getting thirsty, and a guy comes over and he kind of offers you a helping hand. And you reject him. You say, no, I don't want your helping hand. And then eventually things transpire and you kind of get out of the cell. And this guy kind of comes back and he's like, why didn't you kind of accept my help? And you're like, well, I didn't want your help because I think you're a bit weird. And then he's like, well, hang on a sec. This building's on fire and I'm going to search for you. And you're going to have to make your way around a load of tables and hide from me and then hit me with a brick.
And we're going to eat you.
And we're going to eat you as well. It's David from The Last of Us.
Nice.
That boss battle really stuck with me for a long, long time. Not only because just the tension that it creates in it, like, it's horrible. Everything that's happening beforehand, in it, and then at the end as well. The payoff at the end is so good. When Ellie just absolutely wails on him, and then Joel comes in at the last second and like pulls her away, and then he's got this beautiful moment together. David's only in the game for a short period, but he's pretty nasty. Yeah. So seeing his demise,
it's such a cool moment because he's just some random guy.
Yeah.
He's just some random.
He's not a super boss.
Horrible bloke.
Yeah.
In this game, and even just the way that obviously we talked about last a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. But the way the profound effect that he has on Ellie for the rest of the game. She's a totally different person after.
Ripples continue to go through her. Very powerful. And again, almost like non-boss type thing. There's no long health.
It's like a little stealth mission, isn't it? Really,
like. Exactly. Just a really close quarter one with a lot of tension in the air.
Naughty Dog do like a tense boss
1-on-1
with everything on fire around you, don't
they? They really do. Yeah.
Okay. Right, number 2. I have picked. Now, obviously, when you have boss battles, normally you'll have to, let's say, for example, it's a Final Fantasy game, you'll go through a big dungeon, and you have to manage your, like, how much MP, like your magic you've got with your health. Yeah. You know that when you get to the end of that dungeon, there's going to be some kind of boss or something, so you've got to, like, preserve, and you've got to get through all this stuff and then get to the boss and make sure you can still survive and actually beat the boss. Other games, you'll get to the end of a whole game, and then you'll have the big payoff for this. This boss battle happens right at the start.
Okay.
So, when the new God of War came out.
Yes.
You have a sort of opening section of the game, but then...
It's very chill.
It's very chill. It's a lovely setting. And then your little home, where you, Kratos, obviously, and your son Atreus, where you live, somebody comes to knock on your door.
Yeah. And
this person is Baldur. And Baldur, if you played that God of War, you know that he's the main villain in the game. He's basically hunting a giant.
Nice.
Which has some big spoilers about what that's all going on there.
Yeah.
But obviously Kratos assumes he's coming after him.
Being the dumb idiot that
Kratos, because he's quite, he's got self-centered. He thinks that this guy Baldur just wants to pick a fight with Kratos. Yeah. And so you basically start the game with this massive boss fight with Baldur, and you can use your axe. You've got your axe. Obviously, there's a lot of punching and stuff, but basically, it's like imagine for example, one of the best films ever made, which was, of course, Man of Steel.
Yeah.
There's a fight where Superman fights General Zod. And it's one of those things where it's one of those scenes where, like, just like there's wanton destruction across the city, and obviously loads of people have died, and it's one of those things that people always make fun of with that fight.
Unrightly so.
Obviously, because then they pick it up as a thread in Batman v Superman.
Exactly,
it's very well made.
Good world.
So you have a fight similar to that. This idea of you steaming through and just punching someone through a tree, and then through rocks and running at each other, and literally just it's like the best superhero fight ever.
That was exactly what I was going to say.
But in the opening hour of a video game.
Yeah.
And it's so brutal where it gets to, because I think does it end with you like snapping his neck?
Yeah, don't you also like smash a hole through the ground? Like, destroy the area around you.
That fight ends with him falling off the...
You snap his neck and
you snap his neck and then he falls off. But obviously he doesn't die. Because he can't die.
Exactly.
You
completely destroy the area.
Very similar to how the Superman General Zod fight finishes, actually, as well.
Maybe a bit of inspiration.
I'm sure that was the main inspiration for God of War, was Man of Steel. Just such a cool fight. It makes you really, right at the beginning of this game, go, wow, like, the stakes are huge here.
Yeah.
And
this game is confident to let you have, like, arguably the best boss battle in the game at the very beginning.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, because that's one of the things that if you take out the optional Valkyrie fights, not too many memorable actual boss battles. I guess
you've got a couple of things with some dragons which are fun, but they're not like.
You've got the two brothers, haven't you? Magni and Modi.
Yeah, that is a great fight.
It's interesting. It's cool.
It's fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there are other ones in that.
Other than the trolls, but they're kind of mini bosses almost.
Yeah. And obviously the end of the game, you have a rerun of the Boulder fight, but it's a bit more at stake kind of thing.
And it's a bit more traditional kind of feeling. No, excellent choice.
Really cool boss battle, that one, Had to put that into the list.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 2 is one where it's the actual boss battle itself is fairly traditional. Okay, so it's Eredin, who is the leader of the Wild Hunt in The Witcher 3. Okay, he is a fucking cool looking bad. Okay, he's ridiculous. Kind of mixed with a bit of kind of Lich King, kind of Sauron Lich King kind of looking, with this incredibly cool sword. He takes off his mask as well, and you have this fight with him, and the fight itself is still just a great fun fight. It's a very much a slightly overpowered person against Geralt, kind of, so there's a lot of dodging and blocking and then attacking at the right time. You're on a boat, as all the best fights happen on a boat. And what it really is everything coming up to that point, and then you fighting him, and obviously you winning, as long as you do kill him, you winning that battle. And it feels such an accomplishment to have like all of that wrap up to this epic fight. And then what I love as well that it does, and off the back of it, it's kind of getting away from the fight, but just the whole moment is then that isn't the pinnacle of the story. There is another bit that it lets you be more kind of choice based, and you talk through this final big climax of the game. But this is the moment where like the excitement and all of that builds up to one big point, and it's just so epic, and it looks amazing. And I love it. There's a great bit before that where you're switching between characters, between Ciri and Geralt, kind of as you're going towards him. Just the definition of epic. It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King giant moment of gaming. I kind of had to include it as just an incredible moment.
Awesome.
Me. Yeah, that's number 2. All
right, so my number 1. Now I struggle with this, but this boss fight always just sticks in my head whenever I think of boss fights, and I'm just trying to think the best way that I can sort of introduce this one.
I love a good introduction, so I'm ready.
Okay. So I'm not gonna beat around the bush too much.
Okay.
It's Batman again.
Oh my god, it's Batman.
Okay.
He's back. The Batman's back.
Now, in Arkham City,
yeah,
you have there's a number of big boss battles, and I recently got to the point where I'm about halfway through the game, and there's a part when you have to beat the Penguin. He's stolen because basically he's managed to like kidnap Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
And he's kidnapped a few other enemies as well. And he's basically got Mr. Freeze's gun. And there's a bit in this in the Iceberg Lounge where you have to try and basically beat Penguin, but he's got this thing. You basically have to get a jammer for the gun, and then that actually leads into a boss fight with Solomon Grundy, that's all free.
Yeah.
But what happens is once you do that, you manage to free Mr. Freeze, because he's basically going to get you this. He's going to help you find this cure for the poison that's in Joker, and spoilers, that Joker has infected you with.
That is so Joker.
Okay,
that's so Arthur Fleck.
Oh my goodness. So when you beat the Penguin and you get Freeze's suit back so he won't die, he sort of looks at you and goes, "Well, there is no cure." So he sends you off in this little thing, and basically it comes back to you having this boss fight with Mr. Freeze. Okay. And do you know about this boss fight?
I feel like I might have seen you once play a little bit of it, and I think I've seen little videos of it, but I don't know it fully, so talk me through it.
So, in Arkham City, you obviously part of the whole game is that this area of Gotham's shut off, and it's where all the people of Arkham have been put by Dr. Hugo Strange. And when you release Mr. Freeze, he goes to the old Gotham Police Department building, and he takes that as his base. And there's this fairly big room in there, which has got it's like a lab kind of thing, and it's where he's kind of doing everything. And there's all sorts of little things that you can interact with. And you've been there from earlier in the game when you're doing stuff as well. And what happens is, in this boss fight, he's in the room, you're in the room, take him down. If he sees you, he'll shoot you with the thing, and that gun can mess you up pretty quickly. And kind of similar. It's kind of similar to what I was saying earlier about the orcs, because obviously there are high points in the thing where if he comes under you, you can do a takedown, and that will hurt his suit in a specific way, but he then freezes all the places up above, so you can't do that again. You then have to go, okay, right, what's another way I can take him down? All right, well, I can hide behind this part, wait for him to walk past, stealth behind him, take him down. Great, okay, but then he won't do that. He has a proximity sensor on his suit, so you can't then sneak up behind him like that. Then you go, what the hell do I do next? Because you've got to hit him I think five times or something. So basically it's like, oh my goodness, you've got all of these gadgets, you've got all these ways to interact with the environment, but it has to be different each time. So it's like when I play the games, I often find like, oh, I like this way, and this is how I do it. And this boss fight's like, nah, you can't do that. You have to then
keep switching it up the whole time.
You have to switch it up, and it's just the way that he taunts you with it. He's like, oh, you won't be doing that to me again, Batman. This is the way. It's so good. It's such a memorable little fight. And then when you finally get that last hit on him by waiting underground in the grates on the floor, or putting an electrical charge on this part over in another side, so when he walks past it, he gets electrocuted, then you take him down. I'm trying to think what the other ways are you can take him out. There's one or two others as well, but he does things by icing part of the environment so that you can't walk on it or can't zip to it quickly or anything like that. So good. Really messing with the environment to mess your normal go-to ways of defeating something. You got so good. So good. That for me is, I don't know if that's the most. I think the Scarecrow fight is often seen as one of the biggest things. But for me, I love the. I did see Mr. Freeze mentioned. Oh, is that mentioned as well? The Mr. Freeze fight for me is so good, and I'm currently playing Arkham City, and I'm very close to that point again. Excellent. A seminal moment for you. Absolutely, definitely. Okay, well that leaves me with my number one, and I have to dip back into my favourite series of all time, Metal Gear Solid, because there's just so many things to dip into. Now, I thought Assassin's Creed was your favourite series. Well, that for me, that's S tier, so I don't really consider it in lists and stuff. I gotta kind of keep it separate. I like the Assassin's Creed one where you jump down on someone.
Yeah.
And then it goes weird, and then there's a feather.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
I like the tailing missions. I wish there was a boss battle of tailing missions.
Oh God, please no. Right.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's fine. Metal Gear Solid. There were so many I could have picked from. I could have picked Sniper Wolf. I could have picked flipping the end of my second favourite game of all time, MGS4 with Liquid Ocelot, the punching on top of the thing with the epic everything going on. Just before that, you're like going down the nuclear walkway. Oh, it's amazing. It's so epic.
The boss.
End
of 3.
Exactly, the boss. Another fantastic one. Sahelanthropus from MGS5. Fucking horrendous every time you see it. Any of the MGS4 bosses generally are a little on the weaker side, but they're still super fun. Vulcan Raven. Oh, there's just too many to talk about. There's one that stands above, and that is the end. Oh my goodness me! This goes kind of into everything that I love about a game. You've got this kind of fabled legend, old sniper man, kind of in this group of kind of super soldiers almost. And there's a couple of moments in this game where you actually see him from a distance. You're kind of walking down this stream, and in the distance you can see a doorway, and you can see him he's kind of a very old man, a bald old man.
He's been like wheelchair.
He's on a wheelchair. Yeah, he's talking with some of the other people. Some of the other people are talking, and they kind of wheel him away. If you're really quick, you can actually get out a gun and shoot him and kill him, and you never have to fight him later in the game.
It's crazy that.
It's ridiculous, but you don't want to do that. You don't want to ruin yourself of the best boss battle ever. Because, oh my goodness, you come into this. The whole game is set in kind of jungles most of the time. And you walk in. And what it is with MGS3, you've got these kind of fairly linear, but little areas that you go into. And they connect to another area, and then you go to another area. So you've got these little kind of playgrounds. This boss battle takes place over 3 interconnected areas. And at no point do you know where he is for sure. Because he's just in jungle, and he's wearing kind of green ammo. So what you have to do is you have to be patient. You have to play a sniper's game. So you walk in, you hear sounds of birds and maybe a snake in the grass. And then all of a sudden the shot comes at you and you're like, what the hell? Where did that come from? So you have to start looking out, and you kind of crawl on the floor, and you kind of scan the horizon. Do you see a little glint of a sniper scope in the sun kind of moving around? If you can see it, then you know where he is. So you got to work your way around. Maybe he's in a completely different area. And eventually you find him, and then you can kind of shoot him, and then he'll put like a smoke grenade down and run away, kind of scutter away. And he's got a little parrot with him as well, which will chirp away. So if you can listen out as well, if you can hear him. But the beauty of this, not only is that just a fun game, like you slow down, you relax. This can take 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes if you want it to. The best thing about it though, is this game. This game knows everything that you're going to do. What do? You're thinking, this guy's pretty old. So you pause the game, you close down the game, you go into your PlayStation, and you change the date on it. You move it forward, let's say, 20 years. Then you load back up the game. And what do you see? You go up to the end, and he's standing there. He's sitting there, actually. He's crouched down, and he's fucking died of old age. The guy's died of old age because you move the clock forward in your game.
Brilliant.
So then you just go, you nab his stuff, and then you move off. And it's it's an amazingly designed boss battle. But what tops it off is, just after that, what happens? You walk through that little bit. There's kind of a couple of guards just in a little tower. And then you walk up a ladder. Straight after that, into one of the most memorable bits of the game. It's walking up a ladder for ages.
What a thrill.
It's so good. It's so good. And that is my favourite boss battle of all time. The Excellent. From MGS3.
I love thinking about the bosses, because it makes me think like how hard it is to have a really good boss battle, because there's so many boss battles that I've done or completed, but just the ones that stick in your head.
Yeah, I feel like often what you need in a game is maybe one or two kind of almost generic-y type ones, which then highlight then when you switch up and do something different for another boss.
Yeah,
that can elevate one, but then you have to throw some to the dogs. Kind of, you got to be like, you got to have some generic stuff for me to realize how amazing this next bit is. Or you just start like God of War and give you the best thing right at the beginning.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, obviously we didn't. We haven't really played any Souls games or much. So
That's true.
There's all sorts of bosses. I've watched a lot of videos on some crazy bosses, and I actually really appreciate some of these games that you've mentioned do this. And Souls is obviously a very very big game that does this, but I quite appreciate like a boss which is interesting, which is just completely off the beaten track. Like you don't even need to do it. It's not even part of the story. It's like secret bosses almost.
I like that as being a way to add sort of difficulty to a game.
Yeah. So
maybe it's not like this impossible boss that you must beat to complete the story, but
if you want a challenge,
being something that's there if you want to, kind of like the Final Fantasy 12 ones, like where they are optional. Like even in 15, where there's the big
Adamantoise
at the end, which actually isn't even hard.
But still, I love that kind of extra challenge if you want. It doesn't have to impede you kind of as you're going through the main story, but here's a bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, yeah, that's a good old little chat on bosses.
Excellent.
That brings us then
to bets. So last time we had a bet, and the bet was we were going to open a random. Oh no, sorry, the top review.
Yes, the first one.
The first one that appears on Open Critic for Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And what we were going to do, we were going to count the number of times the word deliver or delivery, delivering, delivered, anything like that was in the review.
Yeah, because that's all the game is.
Because it's just a delivery game.
Yeah,
UPS the game.
Yeah.
Now, the review in question was the Eurogamer review.
Yes.
That was one that happened to be at the top.
A recommended review.
Now, Andy, you guessed.
I guessed 12 because
12?
I tell you my thought process behind it. I was assuming on Open Critic we're going to go on and some random troll was going to be at the top because it got the most clicks or something like that, and it was just going to be crapping on it about being deliveries all the time. And it turned out it was actually Eurogame instead. So that's where I went. I thought it was quite high, but
so I thought really carefully about this, and I was thinking, well, maybe. If the word deliver, it could be in many different forms. But then I thought, screw that, I'm just going to pick one number below you because I'm on a losing streak. Yeah. So I said 11.
Yeah, now I'm confident that the streak's going to continue, so we'll be fine.
Well,
there was 13.
I counted.
Yeah.
I read the review.
Yeah.
And I counted how many times the word deliver was in the review or in a word in the review.
Yeah.
And the answer was 8.
Fuck.
8. So,
all right, well done.
What that means is
the streak's over.
Gryffindor's streak stops at 2. So Gryffindor are currently on 2 points.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're here on episode 10 of Bomb Squad. Hufflepuff have hit 7. 7-2 to the mighty
on episode
Orange 10? Army.
It's not 8-2.
No, because remember we wouldn't have had a bet on the first episode. See?
Very, very clever. Very clever.
So, what a way to celebrate
the
10th episode of Bomb Squad by my team, Hufflepuff, are now 5 ahead of Gryffindor once again. So, I'm very pleased.
I'm pleased for you.
Are you?
No.
I didn't think so.
Not at all.
So, next time.
We're keeping on the hype train. We're a PlayStation podcast first and foremost, and the big PlayStation game that's come out is Death Stranding. I'm going to keep on talking about this game until I can't.
I've never heard of it.
It's the small game by an indie developer called Hideo Kojima.
Yodel the game,
and God, the trolls.
The trolls.
What we're going to do is, by the time we next record, I should have the game not physically in my hand, but digitally in my hand. And I'm going to have a look at, within the first hour of the game.
So pressing
start,
new game, go.
That's the timer.
Select difficulty,
any of that.
All that stuff.
The first time you press, and then it stops being menus that you're pressing. You press. So if there's like a character customization thing, which there isn't, but if there was, we'd continue to go until you press.
Just the character customization thing. I know that there isn't. Does that count as gameplay?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Maybe. No. From there, we're going to see in the first hour of the game how many minutes am I going to be controlling this? How many minutes of gameplay are there?
So that doesn't include like being able to control the camera in a cutscene, because I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah, not in a cutscene. No. I'm talking just full on me moving the characters around, doing stuff, interacting with things. So within the first hour, what do you think, Chris?
Now, is this a closest win?
Yeah. We always have a winner on this. We don't like to leave someone out.
Okay, the number of minutes of actual gameplay of you controlling the character in the first hour of the game.
Yeah.
0.
Whoa, I love this.
Going for that low. I'm thinking he's getting some big... There's a lot of exposition to do at the beginning of this game.
There's a lot to explain, and Hideo Kojima loves a long
0 minutes.
Now, I will say...
Yeah.
MGS4, I believe, had a cutscene, which I think was something like 84 minutes long. And I think that was the longest one he's ever done. I don't know if there's longer than this now. But that's gonna have to be almost a record-topping first.
I mean, just saying.
Okay.
0 minutes.
So what I'm gonna go of gameplay, I'm gonna say there is 41 minutes of gameplay.
I feel like I've got you here.
You know?
You've gone too high. You should have said.
I could have said 1 minute. And clearly won it. But no, I'm always going in for
41 minutes.
I'm not into this bullshit kind of.
So what we're saying is, if there is 21 minutes, you win.
Pretty much, yeah.
So 20 and a half.
That's we'll call it roughly, yeah.
I win. 20 and a half and down, I win.
Yeah. We'll call it that. Cool. 20 and a half and downwards, you win.
Well, 20 and 29 seconds, I win.
Yes.
Because of rounding.
Yeah. That's maths as well.
That's maths. Quick maths, you might say.
I really hope it's an engaging.
I think you've messed up here.
No, because I know Hideo Kojima.
You don't.
He is my favourite game creator. I know him. He wants us to be involved in this. We're about to connect society together.
He's got to tell us what the Death Stranding is.
No. That happens like 10 hours into the game. They'll have some big story dump.
I just want to throw this out there. I'm willing to double down on the points here if you want.
I'm going to... Hold on. Put your hand out.
Okay.
No, other hand. I'm going to shake your hand.
Double points.
Double points.
I'm confident.
Woo, boy.
So next time it could be 7-4, or more likely it's going to be 9-2.
The worst thing is, this I feel like is putting my first hour's impression of the game under like threat. I'm now going to hate the first hour because it's all just a cutscene.
It's going to be the best cutscene you've ever seen in your life, and you're going to be sitting there like, for fuck's sake.
My favourite thing about the MGS games is all the cutscenes in it, and I'm going to hate this game for it.
Oh, I can't wait to go 9-2 up.
Fuck. No, I'm confident. This is where I really pull it back. I make up for last week for this week's one, and I'm gonna.
I mean, it's win-win for me, isn't it? Because either way, I'm still 3 points ahead of you.
Either way.
Yeah, like even if you win, I'm still 3 points ahead. 7-4. Well, I could.
Oh yeah, and you'll be more.
And I might be 7 points ahead. Yeah. Like when you get this bigger lead, like you can do whatever you want.
You know, arrogance will be the downfall of all men. And there is an inspirational quote.
Wow.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
I'm going to have to reflect on that over the next week.
Anyway, I think that signals enough of this. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Okay.
It's enough.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. As always, you can find us on Twitter at LetTheRoad. Oh, shit, I've done it again. I've fucking done it again.
I kind of feel like you did that on purpose.
I did that one on purpose. Okay. Hey, see, it'll be a bit. It'll be kind of funny.
Is that a bit? I don't know. At In Dreams Club.
Thanks.
And you'll hear about all the latest podcasts that we produce, whether that's Bomb Squad, our PlayStation podcast, or Realise.
Our kind of film and TV and film club.
Our media.
No,
well, I don't like the word media.
No. Film and TV club.
Film and TV club.
Analysis.
Club sandwich. Sit around, smoke a pipe.
Yeah.
With a whiskey.
And maybe even agree that a film is good or bad.
I think we started off agreeing.
Yeah, it very quickly went off a cliff though.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Excellent.
That's that.
In dreamsclub.com.
Yes, check it out.
Website.
Lovely splash picture there.
Lovely splash.
Anyway, well, thank you very much for listening as always. And we'll talk to you next. We'll talk to you. I don't think we're going to talk to you. Well,
you'll just listen.
You'll listen.
I think talking to someone implies there might be conversation.
You'll receive us.
I don't like that.
Okay.
You need to think of a way to like sign this off.
Yeah.
We always end up going bye like that.
Well, I like my bye. Bye.
Yeah, but I feel like you need to be something. It needs to be something like, and we'll
catch you later. You bomb disposal squad.
Bitch.
You bitch. All right, we've got to cut this off. Bye. You bitch.
You bitch.